In high school, I was in love with Edward Cullen. And I don't mean Robert Pattinson, I mean the fictional character. And while there are many problems with this idea, it definitely shows you my love of books. Hey there friends, it's Carly. Welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new here, and welcome to another Coffee and Conversations episode where today we're going to be talking about my favorite fiction reads. So if you are in need of some book recommendations, grab yourself a cover and let's get into the video. I have put my recommendations into categories, so we're going to start off with my favorite genre, and that is crime/thriller. And one of the first books I'm going to recommend is The Last Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine. There is a sequel to this, but I haven't read it yet. I am putting it on my Amazon watch list. Now, I will admit, when I first started reading this, I did not like the main character, and I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy the story at all, but there are some major twists that happen throughout that really just throw you. So if you like those sort of romance/thrillery novels that sort of have like a bit more of like a dangerous type of edge to them, then this could be a good read for you. My next one is more of a young adult read, but it definitely fits into the crime/thriller category, and that is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I've read the second book in this series, but not the third one just yet. It is on my bookshelf, and this book has also come out as a TV series on Stan, which you can check out before or after you read as well. It's just a really good, you know, feel-good whodunit type of novel with a definite twist or two at the end. Keeps you on your seat most of the way through. And then my last two thrillers are my only 5-star reads in the last couple of years. The first one is The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I have recommended this to two people, my mum and my friend Claire, and neither one of them were able to get through it. Both of them said that they got bored or just didn't like it, or whatever the case may be. And I was shocked at that, because for me, this was a page turner, and I was like constantly doing that, oh, I'll just do another chapter, and trying to figure out who committed the murder. A fantastic twist at the end, but also along the way, lots of red herrings and lots of situations where you're starting to think now one person has become a suspect and then it's someone else, and you're not quite sure of what's going on and what to believe. So for me, this was definitely thrilling and page turning the whole way through, but obviously that does not apply to everyone, and you've got to be into that crime/thriller genre and mood at the time. And sort of along a similar line is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Probably pronounced that incorrectly. Great twist at the end, but also the whole way through you're thinking, what is going on here? How can I get to the bottom of this problem that is going on? And so that was a page turner for me as well. Switching genres here, these are my more romance recommendations. This first one is Sonia Hartnett's The Ghost Child. I actually had to read this for university, and I really loved the story. It's actually quite sad, and I'm typically not into more emotional or dramatic type novels, but this one was just a really beautiful you know, star-crossed lovers type sort of situation where they can't really be together, and you know, things are happening that sort of pull them apart. And I've not shared this one on my YouTube channel before. So on the back it just says, Maddie yearns for her life to be mystifying, to be as magical as a fairy story. And then one day on the beach she meets the strangest young man she's ever seen. The Ghost Child is an enchanting fable about the worth of life and the power of love. And then another more dramatic romance that I absolutely loved was Taylor Jenkins Reid After I Do. This one, I guess, goes into the complexities of marriage, and once you know, say I do at the altar, what happens after that. And you know, sometimes it's not that fairy tale ending, and there are ups and downs, and I really liked this one. And it just says on the back, a love story about what happens when the love fades. After I Do is a story of a couple caught up in the old game and searching for a new road to happily ever after. And then another more dramatic romance is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I know that Colleen Hoover has been getting a lot of attention lately, but personally there are not too many books of hers that I do enjoy. However, I did really like this one. Obviously the subject matter of it is quite triggering because it is about domestic violence, but it does talk about the challenges associated with breaking that cycle of abuse and getting out of a violent relationship, and how it does have that capacity to creep up on you, and before you know it, you're enmeshed in all of this turmoil that, you know, is challenging to break yourself free from. But I do feel like it was definitely thrilling. It was definitely a page turner, and you got to relate to the characters as well and their experiences. While I do like a good romance, typically I am one for a more spicy romance. I like my dramatic romance, I like my spicy romance. I'm not too much into like the soft, nicely romance. So if you are into a spicy romance also, then perhaps you want to give It Happened One Summer a read. It's by Tessa Bailey. I've read a couple of her books and I really like those. I've read the sequel to this, which is called Hook, Line and Sinker, and that's good too, but just not quite as thrilling as this one. It's sort of your enemies to lovers ish, your grump and sunshine type trope, but with a lot of spice in there as well. And I feel like it's got a very sort of romantic setting, like a quiet fishing village. Kind of gives me a little bit Virgin River type vibes, or Chesapeake Shores, if you know either of those shows, but with like more spice happening in there as well. So if you don't mind a bit of spice and you want like a feel-good romance, then this could be the one. My next category I'm going to term as modern classics. The first one I've got is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I really loved this story. I feel like it has more of like an allegoric nature. It's like a very simple story, but I found myself going through and actually highlighting some different lines within there, because I felt like that there was a powerful message to what was transpiring. So it even says here, the secret to happiness is to see all the marvels of the world and never to forget the drops of oil on the spoon. A shepherd may like to travel, but he will never forget about his sheep. And when each day is the same as the next is because people fail to recognize the good things that happen in their lives every day that the sun rises. And there's just like lots of little nuggets of wisdom like that, sort of about life throughout this book. And so I've got heaps of highlighter throughout it of just quotes that I love. So I feel like this is a very simple yet sort of powerful read. And sort of similar to that in the allegorical nature is Animal Farm. Very deceptively simple type story of animals on a farm, but if you're interested in history and authoritarianism, then this could be an interesting read for you. Another one that I love, that it's a very small short read but also quite powerful and emotional, is Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. And then my last one for modern classics is Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. And it's interesting because these three I either read in school as a student or I have taught / read to my students. So I feel like they're definitely good for everyone, but I definitely feel like you should read them once in your life. And a book that I cannot believe that I do not own my own copy of, but it is one of my modern classic faves that I've read every year to my year 9 students for the past, I don't know, 7 years, is The Outsiders. I love it. It's just got so many beautiful nuggets of wisdom about life and about difference, and I love the film version as well. And I definitely think, particularly if you're a teen, that you should read that. Next up, I wanted to share some honorable mentions that don't quite make like my top tier of favorites, but I still really enjoyed. First one is My Killer Vacation, another Tessa Bailey. Like I said, I really enjoy her. It has a great mix of spicy romance, but also a little bit of like mystery slash thriller in there as well. And then another Taylor Jenkins read, I really like her books, is Malibu Rising. I also did really enjoy The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and another one that I lent out and have not received back is One True Loves. I enjoyed that one also. I feel like this one is great because it's sort of got varying perspectives and varying moments in time. It's got elements of romance, it's got elements of like sort of thriller-esque going on there as well. So this one is a great sort of blend of everything. It says the perfect beach read with the emotional depth of the ocean. I don't know necessarily if I would class it as a beach read, except for the fact that it is set by the ocean, but it's definitely a good read. And then the last honorable mention is Pip Drysdale's The Paris Affair. This one is a great mix of romance and crime thriller as well. I just want to finish up by talking about a few books slash series that I have loved over time but no longer have, but would definitely recommend. When I was a teen, I was recommended the Virginia Andrews Flowers in the Attic series and the Angel series. My mum gave those to me, and I thought that they were fantastic. They were definitely more like drama romance, sort of heavy romance, but great reads. Trigger warning, however, I was going to say there's a little bit of incest in them, but no, the truth is like they are very incestuous, but I guess that adds to the complexity and like the dramatic nature of the story. Another author that I really love is Sidney Sheldon. I've got one of Sidney Sheldon's books on my TBR at the moment, but I've read a heap of his, and I think my favorite one so far, I believe it's called The Angel of Death. I've read that a couple of times and I lent it to my mum, and I really liked it and she liked it as well. And then the last series that I enjoyed, definitely more of a young adult spec, is the Vampire Academy series. There was a film version of the first book. It wasn't very well done, so I wouldn't recommend going and watching it. But if you are interested in sort of, you know, romance, teen, vampires, sort of Twilight, but I would say better. Actually, as I was reading Twilight and loving that so much, the Vampire Academy got recommended to me by someone else, and they said that they thought that it was a better series, and I have to agree with that. Not only is the romance like a little bit less disturbing than the Edward and Bella one, but there's like a lot more sort of thrilling elements to the storyline as well. So those are my current fiction favorites. I'm sure if I go back in time and try and rack my brain for great books that I've read over the course of many years, I could probably add a whole heap more to the list, but I'd definitely be interested in hearing some of your faves down in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. I put out new ones every single week. With that being said, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye guys.